Welcome to Ghost Files, where the shadows speak and mysteries come alive. If you love chilling stories, haunted places, and the unexplained, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the darkest tales from around the world. Let's dive into today's haunting. The Island of Shadows. The old creaky ferry rumbled across the dark waters, carrying me and a handful of other passengers toward Ravenswood Island. The locals whispered about the place, how it was cursed, how anyone who stepped foot on its shores never returned the same. I laughed it off as small-town superstition. But now, as the island loomed before us like a shadowy monolith, I couldn't shake the chill crawling up my spine. As we docked, the silence was oppressive. No seagulls cried overhead, no waves crashed against the shore. Just the soft thud of the ferry's ramp hitting the dock and the creaking of wooden planks beneath our feet. The island was abandoned, or so it seemed. Overgrown paths wound through skeletal trees, their branches like bony fingers reaching for the sky. I wandered deeper, my footsteps echoing through the stillness. Every so often, I'd catch glimpses of something out of the corner of my eye. A flutter of fabric, a shadow darting behind a tree, but whenever I turned, there'd be nothing. That's when I stumbled upon the old mansion. It stood like a specter, windows shattered, doors hanging off hinges. I stepped inside, my heart pounding in my chest. The air inside reeked of rot and decay. Suddenly, whispers filled my ears, soft and raspy, like 100 voices speaking in unison. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around, but I was alone. The whispers grew louder, more urgent. "Leave now while you still can." I tried to run, but the doors slammed shut, trapping me. The whispers turned to screams, and I felt eyes upon me, boring into my skin. I pounded on the doors, but they wouldn't budge. That's when I saw them, the shadows. Dark, formless things moving closer, their presence sucking the warmth from the air. I screamed, but my voice was drowned out by the cacophony of whispers. The last thing I remember is the feeling of cold darkness enveloping me, dragging me down into the depths of the island's darkness. When they found me days later, I was curled up on the ferry, my eyes wide with terror, unable to speak. They say I'm still on that island, trapped in the shadows, forever screaming in silence. The last memory. Dr. Rachel Kim stared at the MRI scans on her screen, her mind racing. She had spent years developing Target, a revolutionary technology that could extract and record human memories with precision. The goal was to help trauma victims heal, to erase painful recollections and replace them with peace. But something went wrong during the test. As Rachel watched, the memories on the screen began to distort, like watercolors bleeding on wet paper. The patient's recollections twisted, darkened. Faces contorted in rage, screams filled the air, and the once clear images dissolved into chaos. The machine beeped wildly, and Rachel's eyes snapped to the patient, who was convulsing on the table. She frantically hit the emergency shutdown, but it was too late. The patient's eyes locked onto hers, and Rachel saw her own memories reflected back, her childhood, her parents, her darkest fears. The patient's voice whispered, "I see everything." Rachel stumbled backward, realizing the target had become a portal, a gateway to the darkest corners of both their minds. She knew she had to destroy it before it consumed her completely. But as she turned to flee, she saw her own memories projected on every surface, the walls, the machines, even her own hands. Target had become a mirror, trapping her in an endless loop of her own past. And then, everything went black. When they found Rachel, she was catatonic, her eyes wide open, staring at something only she could see. The lab was quiet, the machine silent. But on the screen, one phrase flickered, repeating endlessly. Memory playback, infinite loop. The Hunter's Dilemma. Jack was a skilled sniper, known for his precision and calm under pressure. His latest target was a high-value asset hiding in a fortified compound. Jack's employer had given him one mission: take out the target with zero collateral damage. As Jack settled into his perch, binoculars scanning the compound, he noticed something strange. The target, a man in a crisp suit, seemed to know he was being watched. The man raised his head, eyes locking directly onto Jack's position. For a moment, they stared at each other, Jack frozen, finger hovering over the trigger. Then, the target smiled and vanished into the building. Jack hesitated. Something about the situation didn't feel right. Was this a trap? He decided to wait, observing the compound for any signs of movement. Minutes ticked by, and Jack's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You're good, Jack. Take the shot." The message was from the target himself. Confused, Jack questioned his employer, who revealed a shocking truth. The target was another operative, testing Jack's skills and ethics. The mission wasn't about assassination, but about trust. Jack had two choices: pull the trigger or let the target walk. Either way, his reputation would be forever changed. He took a deep breath, lowered his rifle, and walked away. The target emerged, nodded in approval, and disappeared into the shadows. From that day on, Jack's name became synonymous with honor in the shadows. And the target? Some say he's still out there, watching, waiting for the next hunter to become the prey. The Game Within. Lena, a brilliant game developer, created Erebus, a revolutionary VR game where players' deepest fears manifested as enemies to overcome. The game was a hit, but Lena began to notice strange occurrences. Players reported glitches that seemed almost personal. One player, a reclusive man named Alex, became obsessed with the game. His progress was erratic, his in-game avatar mirroring his real-life turmoil. Lena watched, concerned, as Alex's fears evolved into something darker. One night, Lena received a message from Alex. "I've found the final level." When she logged into the game, she found Alex's avatar standing before a door labeled The Void. As she watched, Alex stepped through the door, and the game froze. Lena's screen went black, replaced by a haunting message. "You're next." Suddenly, Lena's own fears materialized around her. Shadows twisted into monsters, and the line between reality and the game blurred. She realized that Erebus had become a portal to the darkest corners of its players' minds, and hers. Lena deleted the game, but the darkness lingered. She knew she had to confront Alex, the player who had become a part of the game itself. The final screen read, "Game over." But Lena knew the true game had only just begun. The Forgotten File. Detective Jameson sat at his desk, staring at the cold cup of coffee in front of him. The case was going cold, a string of murders with no leads, no witnesses, and no motive. That's when he received an anonymous email with a single file labeled Target. Curious, Jameson opened it. Inside was a video of the first murder, shot from an angle no news footage had captured. The camera panned across the crime scene, lingering on details Jameson had kept from the public. The next day, another file arrived. This one containing crime scene photos of the second victim, with notes Jameson had written himself. Someone had been watching, following the investigation closely. The files kept coming, each one revealing more about the case than Jameson had shared with anyone. He was torn between fear and fascination. Who was behind this, and what did they want? One night, Jameson received a final file. A video of himself, sitting in his own office, typing away at his desk. The camera zoomed in on the screen, showing a message. "I am the investigation." Suddenly, the lights in the office flickered, and Jameson felt a chill run down his spine. He realized he was the target all along, not just of the killer, but of the truth. And now, he was part of the case, forever trapped in the shadows of his own mind.